Should be recording now. Okay. Okay, we're gonna just go ahead because I don't think we'll be coming. All right. Again, this is for the audio. Okay, so for online students, you can see the slides, right? All right, if you can't, just let me know. So today we're gonna talk about Chapter 2, Social Cognition. Try to finish this within this week. So today we're gonna talk about expectations. All right. So we have automatic cognition. Those will be our quick and automatic thoughts that occur out of our awareness. Those are usually intuitive, immediate, and effortless. So can someone give me an example of automatic cognition? Yes?
Feeling hungry?
Feeling hungry? Yes. You don't need to put in efforts to know whether you're hungry or not, right? Very good. What else? Yes?
Driving a car.
Driving a car, very good. Driving a car when you are a new driver or an experienced driver?
Experienced driver.
Very good. So if you're an experienced driver, driving will become more automatic for you. Sometimes when you get somewhere and you don't really know how you get there, that's because you're engaging in automatic cognition. Okay, very good. And also riding a bike, it's also automatic because, was that loud? Okay, because when you ride a bike, you don't really need to think about, do I need to put my hand on the bike first, or do I need to put my foot on the bike first, and then how do I pedal, like right, left? You just do it, so it's pretty automatic for you. Okay. And then we have controlled cognition. Those will be effortful and deliberative thinking, where you think carefully before making a decision. Those are usually effortful. Usually you have to do it one at a time. And then it's something that you try to do. Now, can someone give me an example of controlled cognition? Yes?
Taking a quiz.
Taking a quiz. Very good. So you need to think about the question and the answer. Very good. What else? Yeah.
Writing an essay.
Writing an essay. Very good. Very good. What else? There are a ton of examples. No? Is it because you guys are engaging in automatic cognition right now? You're taking the class, right? So that should be, hopefully, that should be controlled cognition, right? Okay. You guys know the difference, right? Okay, great. So here, I'm gonna do a class activity. I want to take one volunteer who wants to do it. Before I show you what that is. Anyone else? Yeah, okay. Sorry, I kind of want to engage everyone, but thank you for your volunteering. All right, so now I'm gonna ask you to do the Stroop test. Have you done that before?
I think so.
Okay, it doesn't matter. So Stroop test, it's you need to name the color of the test. So that's blue, that's orange, yellow, green, orange, yellow, right? So remember, you're reading the color of the ink. So try to do this as quickly as you can. All right, you ready? All right.
Orange, green, blue, yellow, green.
Okay, very good. Let's use red. It looks orange here, but let's use red. All right. I'm gonna give you another list. Ready?
Green, red, blue, yellow, blue, green.
Oh, you've done it well. Okay. That's good. So usually, when we have a long list, the incongruent list will be a little bit harder for people to do, and it will take a little bit longer for them to complete the task, because this one should be pretty automatic, because the turn itself and the color of the text, they're congruent, they're consistent. But here it's different. You need to remember you're not reading the text, instead you're reading the color of the text. This is not working well, right? Can you guys hear that? I don't know what's causing it. Okay. If it happens again, I'm gonna just take it off. Alright. That was a bad example. I'm just kidding. Thank you for your volunteering. Okay. So for social cognition, how thoughtful are those? Do you think that we are usually automatic when we engage in social activities, or we're usually have more control cognition? What do you guys think? Both? Both? Okay. All right. So now I'm gonna give you an example. So there is a busy copy machine, and the experimenter tries to cut in line using the following statements. So I want you to take a guess on how many % of people will let them cut in line. So first, they will say, "Pardon, I have 5 pages. May I use this machine before you?" Do you think people will let them? Around what percentage? 20? 20? Any other guesses? 60?
80.
80? People are just being nice? Yeah? Okay, so it's about 60%. Very good guess. Alright, next. What if people say, "Pardon, I have 5 pages. May I use this machine before you because I am very late to class?" So they provide a reason. Do you think this will increase the likelihood? Yeah? What percent?
80.
80%? 85? Usually people are pretty nice about this, so 94% people would do that. Oh, again, this is in an experiment. I'm going to explain this a little bit later. Alright, next. They will say, "Pardon, I have 5 pages. May I use this machine before you because I have to make copies?" What percentage do you think people will let them cut in line?
40.
40%? So it's even lower than this because they provide a kind of stupid reason? Is that why? Any other guesses? 20%? Even lower? 70? All right. Okay. So it's actually 93%. People are not really listening what kind of reason they're providing. They're just like, "Oh, you're in need and it's an emergency. You need to go ahead." Most people will be nice about it, which shows that our social cognition oftentimes is automatic. I think it's in your textbook, right? Too. Most of the time, we engage in automatic cognition. Do you know why? Any guesses? Because it's easy. We don't need to think about every decision that we make. Well, we don't really need to think about them hard, so that it saves our cognitive resources to think about more important things, like taking a class, writing an essay, writing homework, right? Okay, another thing is they did this experiment back in 1978, so a while back. I don't know if people were just being nice at the time, or are people still nice today. That's a drawback from this finding. is that it's been a while. We will need to do more like replication studies to see if it still holds up. But you get the idea, like how they design the experiment, right? They have different groups to compare. Which one will be the control group, I think? Number one? Very good. So this one, they're not providing any reasons. And then here, those two will be your experimental groups because you're manipulating what they say. Does that make sense? All right. So, any questions? We good? Okay. Next, we have priming. So those are the exposure to a stimulus influences a response to a later stimulus without your conscious guidance or intention. How many of you seen the movie Focus? If you've seen this movie, just one? Okay, I'll explain this a little bit. So Will Smith here, he's trying to make a bet with another person. And I'm going to show you how they make the bet in this clip. But that's the general background. I think that's all you need to know. Okay.
Oh, dude, what are you doing? I'm good for it. Don't worry. You got a problem, my friend.
Take those binoculars, pick any player on or off the field, and I will guess the number.
Any play. That's like 100 to 1.
It's good odds for you. 2 million.
That's fucking crazy. Oh, I don't like it.
Okay. I'll sweeten it for you. You pick the player, and she'll guess the number.
What? I guess number. Wait.
Please allow me to introduce myself. I'm a man of wealth and taste. I've been around for a long, long year. Stole many a man, sold a slave.
Number 55. How did you know who he was gonna pick?
You told him to.
So she guessed it right.
All day.
That's the.
From the moment he left his hotel room, we've been priming him, programming his subconscious. He's been seeing the number 55 all day long. On the elevator, in the lobby, even the stick pin on the doormat. Not only that, we loaded his route from the hotel to the stadium. He looks out the window, primers are everywhere. Now he doesn't see it, but he does. There's no getting around it. He even sees far.
That is genius.
Yeah, and it's not only what he sees, it's what he hears.
The Mandarin word for 5 is Wu. There are 124 Wu-Wus in sympathy for the devil. Now he's not registering it, but it's all there. So when he picks up those binoculars, looks out on the field, sees a familiar face with the number 55 on his jersey, some little voice in the back of his mind says, that's it. And he thinks it's intuition, and he picks.
Do you want me to write it down?
And you, being in the dark, was the convincer. We call that the little blind mouse.
Alright, does that make sense? How priming works? So it's like giving information to the person, but kind of in the background so that they're not consciously processing that information. Alright, okay, good. So, also I forgot to mention, some of the materials that I used might have foul languages, especially the next example that I'm going to show you. It's R-rated. How many of you seen the Fight Club? Okay, most of you. So it means that if you're under 17, it requires accompanying parent or adult guardian. How many of you are under 17 here? Are you good? Will you be okay to see the example? If not, you can go watch it after class. So how many of you want to see the clip right now? Okay, good. So everyone in person class voted yes. For online students, if you don't want to see this, if you don't like foul languages, if you don't like crazy imageries, just close your eyes, plug your ears, and then it should be done within 2 minutes. All right, 3, 2, 1. Start the film.
Let me tell you a little bit about Tyler Durden. Tyler was a night person. While the rest of us were sleeping, he worked. He had one part-time job as a projectionist. See, a movie doesn't come all on one big reel. It comes on a few. So someone has to be there to switch the projectors at the exact moment that one reel ends and the next one begins. If you look for it, you can see these little dots come into the upper right-hand corner of the screen.
In the industry, we call them cigarette burns.
That's the cue for a changeover. He flips the projectors, the movie keeps right on going, and nobody in the audience has any idea.
Why would anyone want this shit job?
Because it affords him other interesting opportunities.
Exploiting single frame pornography in a family film.
So when the snooty cat and the courageous dog with the celebrity voices meet for the first time in reel 3, that's when you'll catch a flash of Tyler's contribution to the film. Nobody knows that they saw it, but they did.
Nice big
Even a hummingbird couldn't catch Tyler, it works.
Right, so that's another example of priming. And can you think of any other examples in life that you could use priming, or you think that people are using priming on their audiences? Advertising, for example, like more details. How do they use priming? Yeah, take your time. If anyone else wants to chip in, that'd be great too.
Would that be like whenever someone else?
I'm sorry, give me 1 second. The Siri is being crazy. I'm gonna take this off. Can you say it again? Sorry.
Okay, so with like advertising, when you open a can of soda and it makes like the noise and everything after people like work out or something, and after or sports drinks, like whenever you see people work out advertising and then they get the sports drinks, giving them the sports drink.
So let me ask you a question. For you, when you see that, would you notice the background, like they're doing sports?
With like Gatorade commercials,
Uh-huh.
they show people working out and then they show
Yeah.
people.
But you notice people are working out, right?
Yeah.
So that's not really unconscious, right? You notice them, and you recognize them. You know they're there, right? But you're getting close.
What about like Buc-ee's, the big gas station?
Yeah.
For like miles ahead of time.
Uh-huh.
I've seen signs that are like, you're hungry for brisket and like all these things. And then once you roll up and you're rolling up, you're like, man, like by now I want Buc-ee's. And it's like, because you might know that you've been seeing signs for it though.
You're getting real close. So if you see the message, are you hungry? You're still conscious, processing that information, right? You might forget later, but you still processed that information. So it's not exactly priming. So this is an example I don't think people are still using. So back in the day, it's kind of like this. Back in the day, in cinema, they tried to insert single frame of Coca-Cola and popcorns in the movies. And then they will find that people are more likely to buy Coca-Cola and popcorn in the theater with those single frame inserted, but they don't notice that frame and they can't process that. The reason that they can't process it because we have differential threshold, and one single frame is 1/24th of a second, so our brain can't really process that information, but we did see it. Does that make sense? All right, good. But that was a very good example. You're getting close. What else? Priming, or what can you use? What kind of activities that you can use priming to help you? Well, definitely don't make a bet like Will Smith. That's exaggerated. It doesn't work as well as what the movie shows, but it does work. So I do not encourage gambling. Don't do that. What other examples can you think of? Yes?
If you're trying to persuade a person of something, if they see like something reoccurring like all throughout the day,
Mm-hmm.
or like you make or like they go out of the way to like not even notice it, but if it happens occurrently and then you bring up that decision, they'll be like, you're right, like I have seen these things more, they do more.
Very good. Very good. That's a very good idea. But you need to do a lot of work beforehand though, because you need to know in what environment has that kind of information, right? Very good. All right, let's continue.
Let me tell
Oh, no. Okay, any questions on the heuristics that we just talked about? No? So priming, is that automatic or controlled? Very good, so it's automatic. So online student, one of them says, would an example of priming be when people show products in Instagram photos? Very good. So sometimes, in movies or in pictures, they have some kind of drinks in the background. People might not notice them. People might, but that's a way to increase people's familiarity with those products. Very good example, this 9854. Thank you. All right, next we have, oh wait, so that was a heuristic, but I jumped ahead, sorry. So heuristics, those are time-saving mental shortcuts for making judgments quickly and efficiently. So they help us make decisions quicker. Usually they're a rule of thumb. However, they might not be perfect. Even though we make decisions quicker using heuristic, but they're not always accurate. Okay. All right, so now let's do a class activity together. So as a reference, the Colorado River is 2,000 miles long. How long is the Mississippi River? How many of you would choose A? How many of you choose B? How many of you would choose C? 1. How many of you choose D? Okay, 4. What about you guys? Just don't know? C? C? All right, very good. Okay, so for online students, I think D. Okay, 3 Ds. All right, very good. All right, what if I say as a reference? Come on. The Colorado River is 500 miles long. How long is the Mississippi River? Now, which one would you choose? Choose A. Like let's imagine that you haven't seen the example before. Would you choose A? Right? You're more likely to choose A, right? The answer is actually 2,348 miles. So you should choose D, but without your background knowledge, you don't know which one to choose, right? But here I give you some kind of information. But Colorado River is completely different from Mississippi River. That's just the information that I throw in there to confuse you. So this is the anchoring and adjustment heuristic. So we have a tendency to use a rough estimate as a starting point or an anchor. And then we adjust slightly from that point. So that will be the anchoring and adjustment heuristic. Does that make sense? Okay. So the anchors, they should be relevant. Because let's say, if I tell you there were 33 states in 1860, how long is the Mississippi River? You'll be like, what? What are you talking about? Quoting, what's his name? Westbrook. His famous interview, he'll be like, bro, you're tripping, right? I don't know if you guys seen that. No? If you're a basketball fan, you should probably see that. All right, so the anchors, they should be relevant. Okay, so now can you think of any examples in real life that we use anchoring and adjustment heuristic? Or other people use this technique? Yes?
We used it earlier whenever we were guessing the percentages. We kind of adjust based off of things before.
I'm sorry, I missed the first half.
We used it earlier whenever we were like guessing the percentages of people we would let them go in front of them and get popular.
Percentage. Yeah, I forgot what that is. Can you give me more?
Earlier in the PowerPoint when we were asking like how many people would let them cut in front of them.
Oh. But how? Like, what kind of information did I give you?
Like whenever we found out that 60%.
Oh, so you use that as an anchor.
Yeah.
Oh, and then you kind of guessed it,
I figured it would be
the
higher. than that.
percentage
Yeah.
afterwards. Very good, very good. Nice work. You're using what you just learned. Okay, very good. Trying to get back to where we were. Nice. Very good. What else? We actually see this a lot in our daily life. A hint, when you go to the mall. No? Can't think of any? Which means you guys fall for it all the time. So the discounting price tag. Does it make sense? When they say on sale and they put an original price and then after the discount, or they just put the discount price. You go for the more discounted ones because you thought that's worth more because of the original price, right? Because the original price will be the anchor. Okay, now I'm going to show you a video. It might be a little bit abstract. This video should help you to understand what I'm talking about.
Here's a cool jacket. I'm going to give you a task. The task is to estimate the true dollar value of the jacket. What's the jacket really worth? Now, the main piece of information you have is the sticker price, which is $300. So you see the jacket, you see the price, and you're asked to estimate what the jacket is really worth in dollars. Now, most of us understand that retail prices are inflated because stores need to earn profit. So most of us will assume that the sticker price is high, and that the true value of the jacket is something less than $300. Maybe it's $200, maybe it's $250. Who knows? But that's the thought process, right? Now, let's consider the same question, but imagine that in your first encounter with this jacket, the sticker price was this. Retail is $600, but it's been discounted down to $300. So this is what you see. Now, when asked to estimate the true value of the jacket, what's your thought process? Well, it's the same as before, but now your first exposure is to a higher price. So your estimate is going to be anchored to this higher price. You figure it's not worth $600, so you revise downward. But how far down? Well, when you perform this experiment, these are the typical answers you get. For the $300 price tag, people anchor to $300 and revise downwards, ending somewhere between $200 and $300 usually. For the $600 price tag, discounted to $300, people anchor to the $600 and revise downwards, ending somewhere between $500 and $600. So this is the anchoring effect. You're given a question, a difficult cognitive task, in this case to estimate what the jacket is really worth. And you're given a piece of information, a number, and your brain uses this number to simplify the task. Anchor to the number you're given, and then make adjustments using whatever background knowledge you have that's relevant to the situation. Sometimes you'll adjust upwards, sometimes downwards, depending on the context and the question asked. And notice how powerful this effect is in terms of manipulating your willingness to pay for this jacket. Even though the actual purchase price is the same for both jackets, the perceived value of the jacket is much higher when the price is anchored high, and your willingness to pay is much higher, maybe twice as high. You perceive the discounted jacket as a great deal. You don't perceive the regularly priced jacket the same way. This way of manipulating consumer beliefs about the value of a product is very common, and it's used all the time in business and marketing. It's one of those principles that people in the influence business have exploited for years, long before the cognitive bias revolution in psychology. The difference is that now we have a much better understanding of why and how this works, and how it connects to broader psychological principles. I want to talk a bit more about these psychological principles, but we'll save that.
Okay. So now you guys know this. It will help you make better decisions in the future. So that's one example in life. Another one will be the false consensus bias. You guys should have read about this in textbook, right? So this is the tendency to overestimate the extent to which others will agree with us. So the anchor will be your own belief and your opinion. And then you adjust your belief based on that. For example, when we ask people to estimate what percentage of your classmates will prefer to die by fire, or what percentage will prefer to die by drowning, you're going to use your own belief to make that estimation, right? Maybe you don't know it, but you do. Okay. Any questions on this? We good? All right. Next, we're going to do another activity. Just follow along the video and then try to answer the questions. You don't need to yell it out loud. Just try to play along.
Stop. Pay attention. Which of the following activities do you think is riskier? Riding a roller coaster or riding a merry-go-round? Riding a bicycle or walking down the street? Being a shark diver or a cattle rancher? If you said the riskier options are roller coaster, bicycling, and shark diving, you're just like most of the people we surveyed. And just like them, you got it wrong. It turns out that less than 10% of amusement park-related injuries are due to roller coasters, while 20% are from merry-go-round mishaps. And while bicycling can be tough, over 4,000 pedestrians die each year just walking down the street. And even though Jaws seems a lot scarier than Bessie, you're 11 times more likely to be killed by a cow.
When it comes to risking life and limb, our brain's assumptions aren't always correct, which makes it surprisingly difficult to evaluate risk correctly.
All right. So that's called availability heuristic. And that's the tendency to base a judgment on how quickly or easily examples come to mind. So, in other words, it's that events that are more available in your memory are judged as more likely to occur. So that's the availability heuristic. So now let's think about some applications. What can you do to use this availability heuristic in your real life? We actually had a very similar idea that you just mentioned. So, any idea how we can use availability heuristic? So the hint is, we kind of mentioned this in priming. Yeah.
Well, my sister-in-law is scared to fly on planes just
Uh-huh.
because she gets like 9/11 and things like that.
Mm.
I think you're more likely like that in a car accident than you are that in a plane crash.
Exactly. Very good. A lot of people are terrified of going on planes because they might have seen plane crashes, right? And then that's more salient, available in their memory because they look more scary, and then they would think that's more dangerous than going to a car, which is not true in reality. Very good. Very good. Okay. So, persuasion technique, you can actually use this. So let's say you have your first anniversary with your romantic partner, and then how do you persuade the other to go to your favorite restaurant, but be polite? And usually, you'll be like, let's go to your favorite restaurant, but you hate that restaurant. How do you make them say the restaurant that you like? It's kind of similar to what you just mentioned. Okay, sorry, I forgot. I'm trying to remember names. It's gonna be hard. Hold on. Are you Kelly? Oh, awesome. And then do you start with M? H. Haley? No. Hope. Okay, Hope. Sorry. Hope. And then give me 1 second. I keep associating you with the horse. Can't remember your name. What's your name?
Garrett.
Garrett. Okay. You're J. No. Come on. Start with W? No. N? Oh, Nathaniel? Okay. It's gonna get harder here. I'm gonna start with the easy ones. Renee? Francis? You are the name that I just mentioned. Haley? Oh, okay, good. Alright, you guys are the hardest. Start with M? Meredith? Awesome. What's your name?
Chaya.
Chaya. I don't think I ever asked your name, right?
No.
That's my excuse. Chaya. Alright. Cool. Alright, I'm still trying to remember names. Okay. Okay, so here, what you just mentioned is you can put magazines of your favorite restaurant in your living room, or send them messages a week ahead. Tell them about this restaurant. Let's say, oh, there's a new restaurant just opened. Check it out. But you don't have to say, let's go to this restaurant until your first anniversary. So you're just giving them information so that that information is more available in their memory. So when they need to make a decision, they're more likely to make a decision based on what's salient in their memory. Does that make sense? Yeah.
Would that be both priming and availability heuristic?
It could. So it depends on how they process that information. Let's say I saw this text, and the text says this new restaurant, and there's new menu in it. I'm gonna look at it, right? And then I'm processing that information. So it's not in the background. It's not unconscious. I'm consciously processing the information. So that's the difference between availability heuristic and priming. So this, you're using your existing memories to make a decision. But priming is you're using what you call intuition to make a decision. But you don't know that intuition is based on some kind of influences. Does that make sense? Okay, great. So that actually extends to another topic about free will. Do we actually have free will? And that's more philosophical, and we're not going to talk about that here. Very good question, though. Next, we have representativeness heuristic. That's the tendency to classify something according to how similar it is to a typical case. So we always hear, if it looks like a duck and walks like a duck, it's a duck, right? Sometimes it can be something else. And some examples in your textbook will be, how likely do you think flipping a coin, is it gonna be all heads, and tails, or gonna be in between? The likelihood is the same. So you just think that the more chaotic pattern is more likely to occur. But in reality, the probability is the same. Okay, that's the representativeness heuristic. Let's do another activity. So Chase is a 20-year-old man. He's white and usually wear a button-down shirt, collar shorts, and boat shoes. He likes beer pong throwing and hang with girls, but he drinks shitty beer. Which of the following is more likely to be true? So is Chase just an AN student, or Chase is an AN student, but also a member of fraternity? How many of you think it's A? Okay, 2. How many of you think it's B? Okay, a lot of you. Very good, it worked well. Like stereotypes, right? Stereotypical, frat boy, Chase, right? So A is actually more likely to be true. And this is the conjunction fallacy. That's the tendency to think that two events are more likely to occur together than either events alone. So I'm going to explain this a little bit. So these are the people who are AM students. We have, let's say, 100 people. And this will be the people who are AM students and frat boys, regardless their stereotypical behavior or their stereotypes, stereotypical attires. Let's just say probability-wise, people are more likely to be just AM students. Does that make sense? So if you think with reason, you should choose A, because that's always true. This is just part of that population. Okay, that's the conjunction fallacy. Any question? All right, no questions? Good. Okay, so next, let's do another activity. I want you to take out a pen for online students as well, and a piece of paper. We're gonna do some very simple calculations. So you can also use your calculator or your smartphone to calculate. And then you just write down your answers, play along with me. However, don't say your answer out loud. Let me know when you're ready. Also, the calculation is not going to be hard, so you don't need to be all tensed up. It's just a simple activity. Are we ready? Okay. All right, let's do it quickly. Now I want you to think of a number from 1 to 9. Just pick one. All right, we good? Next, I want you to subtract 5 from that number, and you will get a new number. Are we good? Next, I want you to multiply the new number by 3. We good? Good? Okay. Next, I want you to square that number. Good. And then I want you to add the digits of this new number until you get a 1-digit number. So for example, if you have the number 46, you will do 4 plus 6, and then you get 10. And then you will do 1 plus 0, and then you get 1. So until you get a single-digit number. You can just look up when you're ready. Okay, so everyone's ready? Okay, so if this number is less than 5, I want you to add 5. However, if this number is larger than 5, I want you to subtract 4. Okay, we good? And then multiply by 2. subtract 6. Alright? And then I want you to map the digit to a letter in the alphabet. So if you get 1, that's A, 2 is B, 3 is C, etc. We good? Alright, quickly, I want you to think of a name of a country that begins with that letter. Are we good? And then I want you to take the second letter of that country's name and then think of a mammal that begins with that letter. Good? I want you to think of the color of that mammal. Alright. Good. How many of you got a gray elephant from Denmark? Only 4 of you? What did you get?
A gray emu from Denmark.
Emu. Okay, so pretty close. What did you get?
I have no idea.
Oh, you just didn't get. Alright, that's fine. What else? What did you guys get?
I got a yellow jaguar from Djibouti.
Interesting.
Yeah.
You got the same thing?
No, not the exact. I got Djibouti. I didn't hear the what the animal was supposed to be, but I got.
Okay.
No, like I didn't hear what the animal question was.
Okay, what did you get?
Me?
Uh-huh.
Oh, I panicked when he said country and thought Delaware.
Oh. Alright. So if you didn't get like start with a D and an E, there might be some calculation mistakes. You can try this afterwards. So how do I do this? So Denmark is usually an available D country, right? I want you to think of any other country that starts with D quickly. It takes a while. It's not as easy as Denmark, right? And then elephant is a very available E mammal, unless you're thinking of another animal. But elephant is more available to other people. And then gray elephants are more available than other color elephants, right? So what type of heuristic is this?
Availability.
Very good. Availability. It's right there. Available. So those are just some memories in the back of your mind. Okay, just in case it didn't work, I also showed Denmark and elephant at the beginning of the class. How many of you noticed it? No? So what would that be? Priming. Very good. Do you want to see it?
Yeah.
Right. For the online students too. Right here. Okay. I think that's almost it. We have a couple minutes. No, we have. How many minutes do we have left? 2 minutes? 1 minute? All right. We might not have time to do this, but what I was gonna do is to flip the classroom and then have you teach me what is optimistic bias, what is bias blind spot, and is eyewitness testimony valid. We don't have time to discuss. Can you just tell me very quickly what's optimistic bias? Yeah.
Like believing that something good is going to happen to you versus to other people.
Very good, very good. What about bias blind spot? Don't remember that? That's in your textbook. Okay, so it's that when people think that their mind are less likely to be influenced by those heuristics. Okay, and then is eyewitness testimony valid?
Yeah.
No. How many of you think it's valid? It's not valid. So read the textbook and make sure you get this, and make sure you read the textbook as well, because they will be on the exam. That's it. Reminder, next class we're going to finish chapter 2, and then make sure you read chapter 4 for the next class. We will have the quiz during the weekend. Thank you.
did. It's kind of